Welcome to Just Minding My Business Radio, where we are moving at the speed of God, learning what we didn't know we didn't know. I'm your host, Ida Crawford, so grab a pen and paper and get ready for information that you can use. Welcome to another episode of Just Minding My Business. We hope you had an amazing day. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And this is Ruth Haskins, your co-host, recovering from a bad cold.
I am so excited to bring to the mic today Avanette Pinkard, who is a national beauty, wellness, and business educator to cosmetologists and global mentor to clients who are looking to activate beautiful minds, bodies, souls, income, and beautiful lifestyles. She helps them gain the clarity and confidence needed to style their divine image, impact, and income. Avanette was nominated 2 years in a row for the Steve Harvey Morning Show's Neighborhood Awards. She is also contracted by the Oprah Winfrey Network to render services to one of the participants featured on the Ayana Fixes My Life show. She's also performed spa services on the Heart and Soul cable TV's Dr. Rose show. She's rendered spa services to celebrity cast members of Will the Real Man Please Stand Up, Erica Campbell, Terry Brown Britton, and Sean Levert. Well, Avanette, welcome to the show. We are truly honored to have you here.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Wow, it sounds like you have been very, very busy in your career. So tell us how you got started in the beauty wellness world.
Well, it started when I was a little girl wanting to really be into the beauty industry, but how I really got into the aspects of the wellness side was I went to Japan. I was already in the beauty industry, but I went and lived in Japan for a little while, and this was about 25 years ago, and I got introduced to the bathhouses. And one of the things that impressed me was the fact that the Japanese use their bathhouses as a means for wellness. Their jobs actually paid for them to go to bathhouses throughout the week because they found that they were more productive, and it helped them to maintain their bodies and their wellness. And so when I got back from Japan, I went and I started studying, adding that piece to my career. And I had the opportunity to be in a class with the internal physician. And I asked the internal physician, I'm like, well, what are you doing here? And he was like, well, if more people would start doing these services, they wouldn't have to come and see me. And being an African-American woman, being in the beauty industry, it really woke me up to what I could do and what I could provide for my clients and the guests that were coming to see me in the spa.
Wow, that is a remarkable story. You know, it's funny how when you go to other places and you see what they're doing and how it benefits, and being able to bring that to your clients is just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Avanette, I noticed one of the things that you just spoke about, this doctor said that if people would do more of the better things with their health, they wouldn't be coming to see him. And one of the lines in your bio states that you recognize how the body expresses externally what the internal environment is saying. Could you talk more about that?
Well, basically, if you're not well, and one thing I noticed being in the beauty industry and in the spa arena, one thing I've really noticed is, we walk around and we put up a good front that we're feeling good and looking pretty, but actually we're feeling broken down. We're feeling, lack of energy. We're feeling all these different ailments because our bodies are at dis-ease. And so what starts to happen is your skin, your hair, and your nails tell the story. And most of us don't pay attention to that. And what I've noticed being in the industry from a stylist perspective or service provider perspective as a cosmetologist, and what I've noticed from teaching cosmetologists, we've gotten away from really listening or knowing what the body's really saying and not paying attention to the signals that it's showing. So say, for instance, your hair is coming out. Basically, something is possibly going on, whether it's your thyroid, whether it is a hormone, thyroid is a hormone, but whether it's other hormonal imbalances due to the foods that we're eating or the stress that we're having, it is expressing itself some way through your external appearance. But we don't pay attention to the fact that that's what's really happening.
Is that partially, I know my voice is kind of messed up, is that partially because there are so many, how should I say, so many different products on the market that help us to mask what's going on? So
absolutely,
because we're busy masking things. Go right ahead.
Yeah. I mean, you hit it head on, and that's what I'm trying to bring awareness to, is the fact that, so many of us nowadays are so busy slaying that we're not paying attention what we're slaying with. And our products are so laden with different toxins, or our foods are so laden with different toxins, that we think it's normal for our bodies to be going through these changes as we get older. We age because, not necessarily because our hormones are declining. Our hormones are declining basically because we're aging. Our bodies are not built to age the way that they are, and we are pretty much causing ourselves these degenerative diseases and issues. I'm not a doctor, but I am a holistic health coach. So what I've basically been really trying to educate my clients and cosmetologists with is the fact that if you pay attention to these things, if you pay attention to what it is that you're putting on your skin, if you're paying attention to what you're putting in your body, if you're paying attention to what it is, the company that you keep, and you treat yourself well with self-care, that we can combat a lot of what's going on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell us some of the recommendations that you have for pretty much working from the inside out.
Well, basically, when you're talking about from the inside out, you have to start, in a sense, from the outside. So when I talk about teaching food, okay, so basically I was teaching my my future professionals today about food and how that food, say if you're eating a salad and you have cucumbers in that salad and your kidneys aren't really working well. Again, I'm not a doctor, but I know that the foods that we eat, they speak to the body. But if you're frying, and I know I don't fry cucumbers, I'm just using this as an example. So if you're frying that cucumber and you're frying it in oil and you're taking the enzymes and you're destroying them, but your kidneys may need that enzyme, right? So basically, if you're taking that food and you're breaking it down so much to the point that your kidney can't recognize it, it serves no purpose. So what then happens, it either turns to fat, which then is going to, cause your body to act in a negative way, or it's going to cause, your hormones to be off balance, which then are going to affect your hair, or your nails, or your skin. So basically, I teach clients how to prepare some foods or what they can do with certain recipes to make their foods over, to help make their outside appearances over through working on the wellness on the inside. So I just give you different tips of what it is that you can alter as far as foods. I give you what you can do as far as hair products. We all know, especially in the African-American community, that we use a lot of, say, hair greases or hair ointments, and a lot of them are laden with petroleum. Okay, naturally, I know I grew up on Vaseline, but if we knew back then what we were really dealing with these products, it would change the outcome of what we're dealing with. So instead of, say, a Vaseline, I would recommend maybe a coconut oil-based product blended with a shea butter, or for, say, maybe your skin, I would recommend a product that is based with a grapeseed oil, or, say, a oil that's, an olive oil, like crushed olive oil base, not like your ones that have been processed down, because you don't want to use rancid oils on your skin, because that does penetrate into your bloodstream.
Yeah, I thought you made me chuckle when you talked about the petroleum from back in the day.
Exactly.
I remember that so well, and now that's pretty much what I use is coconut oil-based products on my hair, with the shea butter. I read the labels because there is a big difference.
Yeah, reading labels is key. Last night we were talking about pHs of products, and one of the girls in the class, she's like, well, it has this in it, and has this many grams. I said, I don't really pay attention to the grams of anything. I pay attention to what the label is, what's the highest ingredient, what's the lowest ingredient. So labels are huge. That's basically where you start, is with, what's in it and what's, the label is telling you.
I'm glad you brought that up, because so many products will say, okay, coconut butter or shea butter, and then it's like the 10th ingredients down.
Exactly.
And so if you just grab it and without reading, you say, oh, shea butter, oh, that's good. But it's the 10th ingredient, and some of the things that come before it aren't all that wonderful.
Exactly. And as long as they put it on there, if they have like one drop in there, they can put it, they can put it on the label. And so, so many of us are misinformed, or what I like to always say, we kind of sleepwalking and hypnotized to what has been put out in, in society.
Yes, we're conditioned. We've been conditioned.
Extremely.
And, along that line, I know that people, nothing against it if people are still using chemicals in their hair. I mean, that's a personal choice. But could you talk about the natural hair care movement in the last 20 years and how it looks for our children? And the reason I ask that is because I've been in a position where I have worked with children whose hair at 10 years old was gone, because for some reason people believe that natural hair is not a good thing, it's hard to manage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they decide to put a chemical in their child's hair, and it's sometimes with very disastrous consequences. So could you talk about the natural hair care movement, possibly?
Well,
I know that would be a hot topic.
Can. I sure can. To me, whatever your self-expression or whatever you want to express, I am going to help you do that as a service provider to my clients. However, whether it's a chemical relaxer or a natural hair care service, you still have to have certain precautions. One, I agree with you, with all the people that are putting these chemicals in their kids' hair too soon, and they're not putting them in properly. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves, is the fact that a lot of times when we're putting in relaxers can be good for some people if it's done properly. Our hair was not made to be bone straight. And back in the day where there was this product called Bone Straight, and so everybody wanted this bone straight hair, and they would take that relaxer and they would smooth it with their hands. And if you think about it, your hand is hot, your head is hot. So they're smoothing that relaxer with their hand, and they're embedding that relaxer into the hair follicle. So therefore, it's killing the follicle. And they're doing this on a regular basis, even now with so many people that are wearing the front lace or they're wearing the weaves and they're putting the relaxers on all the time and they're killing their edges. Well, it's the same thing with children. Their skin, one, it's still developing. Their immune systems are still developing. Me, myself, I never, with my clients, I would not put relaxers in any of their children's hair until they were like 12 years old or past puberty. And then if I did, it would just be more like a texturizer. So pretty much we're destroying our own hair, because I know for me back in the day, all of us had really long hair. We didn't have to wear hair weaves, you know, and now you're putting so many braids in and you're using the synthetic hair and it's pulling so tight. Don't get me wrong. I love braids. I wear them myself. I wear natural sometimes. Sometimes I'm relaxed. But with everything that you do, you have to understand why you need to do, why and how you need to do it, I should say. So we're actually over processing our hair, or we're making it so tight. I remember there was an article that I read about a young lady that got braids, and the braids were so tight that the child died. It was either a child or a lady died because of the pressure with the nerve endings. It was just too tight. And I know if I've gotten braids that were too tight like that before. So they can be a great thing. They can be great protective styles, but you have to make sure you're not overdoing it.
Yes. And
wow.
when you talk about those braids, could you just give people a pointer on what to look for to be able to determine for themselves? Because if you go to someone and you say, well, you know, my braids are too tight or what have you, da-da-da-da, because they're in a business, not everybody's ethical. So what should people look for themselves so that they can realize that maybe it's time to take these braids out? And then what are the alternatives that they have once they take those braids out for a period of time?
Well, one thing, if you go to a braiding shop or you go to whoever down the street to braid your hair, if you can't lay your head on the pillow, that's a serious problem.
Okay.
Okay, if you're starting to see, like my granddaughter, you know, I said something to her mom, I'm like, I can see bumps coming up. That's inflammation. That means that her scalp and those hair follicles are inflamed.
I've seen that before.
Yeah. So you will want to take them out and, you know, give that area a rest, especially if it's freshly done. I know you may have spent the money, but that's something that I would seriously avoid. If you can't put your head on the pillow and you're seeing the red bumps and you're seeing that swelling, that means those braids are too tight. Okay. And then as far as... Say that again.
I said, that's happened to me. I remember getting braids done way back when, and I couldn't take it. My head hurt so bad. They were so tight. The next day I took them out. I couldn't do it.
Exactly. And then as far as the braids, you know, especially with synthetic hair, if you're getting braids after braids after braids, that synthetic hair is going to dry your braids out. It's going to dry your hair out. So you want to get some type of intense moisturizing treatment in between your braids. Try to leave them out, whether it's a week, 2 weeks, because some people, you know, put them right back in. I know, like for my goddaughter, you know, she came in and her hair had really grown, but she's had braids all summer, and then she was also swimming, and I ended up having to cut quite a bit off because the chlorine had dried it out, and then that synthetic Connecalon hair, it dried the braids out also. So if they're feeling really fuzzy, you don't want that. And a lot of times when people take the braids out, their hair is like really fuzzy and brittle. It has almost like a wool, type texture to it that has been roughed up. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And so, you know, you definitely want to allow your hair to be treated and get some moisture back in to those locks.
You know, speaking about swimming, I was very fortunate. I have a beautician, a cosmetologist who is very much into hair care and natural hair care. And one of the things she used to tell the clients, especially the young children when they were during the summer, if you're going to go swimming, this is the time to use petroleum. Before you put on that bathing cap, get it all through your ends and all around the edges, because it will protect the hair from that chlorine. So that was one good use for petroleum.
And that is perfect. I mean, that is really perfect. And one thing that I would like to add to that is the fact that, when you go swimming, your hair is a sponge, okay? And if you think about it, if a sponge is full of water, it can't absorb anything else. So I always tell my clients, wet your hair down totally. Get it saturated before you go into the pool, because it's not going to absorb it so much because it's already full. It's the same thing if you're shampooing your hair and you go to put conditioner on it and you don't towel dry that hair enough to get some of that water out, you're wasting your conditioner. It's just going down the drain because it can't penetrate. It can't really absorb if it's full of water. So it's just doing surface work. It's not getting into the cortex of that hair. And most people don't even realize there's so many layers inside that little teeny strand of hair.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, it's so interesting. We have our bodies, and, we know so little about them. We kind of like use it, and then we take it here, we take it there to the doctors, here, there, everywhere, to the local cosmetologist or drugstore, wherever. We don't know anything about our bodies. And, we don't pay attention to the rest of our bodies. We certainly don't pay attention to our hair.
Right.
And one of the things that I've noticed it's really true of women, is that whenever we're going through something, our hair is the first thing that we either do something for or we attack. I don't know if you've noticed that, but we either get it cut off or we get color or we decide to get braids. We're always doing something, but never always thinking about how our hair is connected to the rest of our body.
And that is so true. And that's what I really feel that God has, can't even say I'm really feeling, I know that God has commissioned me. He would wake me up at night and, it's like beauty is the one thing that women, men, we all want to look good. And beauty is the one thing that we focus on. And so that's basically what God has commissioned me. It's like you can get their attention because when you talk about maintaining somebody's beauty, you have young children that are vain. You've got us older women that are vain. You've got men that are vain and want to look good. And so that's why it's like I want us to stop slaying. Everybody wants to slay. I want us to sustain our bodies, to maintain our beauty, because when it's time for us to get older, who's really looking to look aged? And that's one thing, especially in the African American community, we're so quick to say, oh, black don't crack. Well, this is how I view it. Black may not crack, but black sags. And if you pay attention, the majority of us, as we get older, our skin sags. Now, our counterparts, they may have cracking skin or they may have more of the wrinkles setting in, but our skin sags. So it's like you're bragging, but your skin sags. It's just it's the same thing, just a different, little bit different thing that's going on. Yeah.
And that's so true. You're absolutely right. So, and as you get older, you tend to, pay attention to your skin and what you're putting on. I know I do. I pay attention to what I'm putting on my skin. I don't have a problem spending the money to make sure that I'm getting a quality product. And what I'm learning is that, the less stuff in the product, the better.
Exactly. And that's basically, I want people to understand that if you take care of it now and be more proactive with our children, we've got to teach our girls, we've got to teach our young men that if you are more proactive with what it is you're doing, then later on you won't have to suffer behind it. And a lot of our suffering is in vain, and a lot of our suffering, especially in our community, it can come from the products being laden with so many toxic ingredients, that we're just not paying attention. And so, like you said, if you're doing something with less, if you're using a product that may have less in it, more natural ingredients in it, things that aren't turning rancid, then your body is going to be much better off. Your skin is your largest organ of your body. It's your first line of defense.
So true. So true. So how can our audience connect with you?
They could find me at EssentialEssenceLifestyle.com. Essential Essence Lifestyle basically teaches you the necessary ingredients to styling beauty through wellness. And they can find me on Instagram at Avanette Pinkard and Essential Essence Lifestyle on Facebook.
Okay. And do you have a shop, and where is that located?
I actually don't have a salon right at this moment. I actually closed my salon when my parents passed away. I had a pretty big salon before my parents passed away, and then I really got caught into this really dark depression, and it was so much for me to handle that I decided to close it down for a little bit. And I've, pretty much been working through travel to my clients, and my focus right now is more so teaching and educating. I still do clients. Again, I travel to them, but I'm more so out there educating at churches, women's conferences, doing one-on-one coaching with clients and with cosmetologists and group coaching.
Okay. Awesome. And I think that's important because I remember having a girlfriend that would get her hair permed every week. And the person would do it. And I was thinking to myself, first of all, you're going to somebody that doesn't care about your hair. Right. Because you don't need to be a rocket scientist to know that you should not perm your hair every week.
Right.
And what ended up happening, she became bald, of course, which was inevitable. Right. And then, there was she had to take medication for her hair to grow back.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, and it seemed like to me, it was so important for her to look good.
Right.
At the cost of her health.
And that's what saddens me is just what you said earlier. We do so much that we're just not paying attention because we want to look good. And it's like, don't be so vain that you're killing yourself. I have this saying, we're dying to be gorgeous.
I like that.
And that's literal.
and it's coming in so many ways. There's so many things I would love to ask you about, the cosmetology industry, but two things that I came across that I thought was really interesting. I was watching this one hairdresser. He does men, and this was in Dubai, and I was just fascinated by his technique. Incredible, and the care that he takes with their hair. But the other thing that's come up is, have you heard of catfishing? And this is something that's going on in, yes, I think that's the American slang term for it. But it's coming out of Asia where literally it's amazing. It's amazing. It's shocking. People literally redo their face. It's more than cosmetic.
So they're breaking bones and everything. They're restructuring their face.
Not breaking bones. They don't break anything. There's no surgery. It's all done with cosmetics. But the person that you see without anything is not the person you see when they're made up, and vice versa. When you see them all made up, you could be in for a terrible shock when they take it all off.
Right,
because
right.
they
Okay.
have
I never
false
heard
noses,
that term.
they have false chins, they have false eyebrows. They use a body spray to whiten their skin, so they're like really, really light complected when their natural complexion is much darker. So
they're doing airbrushing, and then they're putting in prosthesis, like as far as their chin and everything. Oh, wow.
They use skin tape, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Wow. This is like movie stuff.
Yeah, that's more like your movie makeup.
Exactly, and it's become a fad, evidently. And again, it goes back to that thing that you're talking about, beauty and wellness. Beauty and wellness. Those two things really do go together. And
it's that mind piece. That's why, I talk about creating a beautiful mind, because most of what's going on in the beauty industry, it has to do with confidence and self-esteem.
And if you don't have the right mindset about yourself, if you haven't learned to love yourself, which is it's a challenge. And talking about women of color, it's often been a challenge. It's been a huge challenge to learn to love ourselves as we are, just as we are, and to take what we have and make that beautiful, rather than making ourselves over and turning ourselves inside out and trying to be something that we're not comfortable with.
Exactly.
Mindset is so important, and I would love to hear you talk about that a little bit. Mindset and beauty.
Well, I know for working here with cosmetology students, I'm really seeing where they're not. When I'm calling the old schoolers, okay. We were into making people look good, but it was about feeling good. Today, it's all just about the look good part. It's not that they care about really educating themselves enough. So I'm starting with them first. Educating themselves enough to be able to take their knowledge and say to the client, no, we need to customize this look for you. Because people will come in and they're chasing what the Kardashians have, what Beyonce's got going on. Everybody's doing their makeup the same, and nobody is really creating individualized custom looks to enhance that person and creating their own self-expression. And so that's really sad, because we're teaching kids at a young age to put makeup on. It's like you're putting this mask on right away. So it's like you're constantly hiding who you are and your true identity. So here in the cosmetology world, that's one of the things that I find a lot of cosmetologists actually, they struggle with being confident to talk to the client, being confident to really take their knowledge and teach the client. To me, that's why so many bloggers are doing wonderful, because bloggers are finding out the information and they're teaching the consumer, where to me the cosmetologist needs to do more of that. Now, when you talk about from the mindset of, the consumer, the people that I see that have sat in my chair, I have to be honest with you, there were people that I know that were more educated than myself. I know that they had all these degrees, but when I would talk to them, their mindset, they were so insecure. And I'm like, God, what's going on? And so grooming our children from a young age to know that they're beautiful, to not have to live up to other people's expectation, that's why I think so many are chasing looking good and wearing the best designer outfit. It's like, become your own brand. And so many of us are so insecure that mindset piece is huge. It's so huge. And I think that's why we have a problem with just being who we are and being able to accept the fact that, no, we may not have the long, straight, pretty hair, but you notice when you have that long, straight, pretty, quote-unquote, good hair, because that's one of the things that bothers me when people say the good hair, that's the hair that doesn't do anything. So your mindset and how you think about yourself is key. And, you know, I know for myself when I talk to you about me being depressed, and because my parents had passed and I let the salon go, when I started changing my diet, changing my food changed my mood.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
My food helped me to change my outlook on myself. When I started making those shifts, it was just huge. My whole lifestyle just really started turning around. I was just able to see things clearer. My body, I've never felt that good after going through that transition when I, was learning how to be a holistic health coach. It was just amazing. It was just amazing. And I started thinking totally different, and my depression lifted because of me changing my food.
Oh, wow. We could be just talking forever. You're another one of those.
Yes, we sure could. And
that's the topic in itself, as well as what you said about become your own brand. Oh, food and mood, yes. And most of us are in a daily bad mood because of what we're eating. And so much of that, again, is because we've been conditioned to what is called the SAD diet, the standard American diet.
Standard American
diet is killing us in more than one way.
Yep.
So
to me, it's the standard American diet and the standard American beauty.
Yeah. I agree. We're trying to be someone we're not. We're eating things we shouldn't. We have no confidence in ourselves, and that's another whole issue that comes along with, I see it so often, I know everybody does, in our young men and women. I'm from the older generation, and so I see, sometimes I just look in amazement. It's like, I know, I kind of sense why they are, but then again, it's like, why are you where you are? And part of it has to do with the food.
Yes.
You don't eat the way that we should, even though they used to say that, when I was coming up, if we went through the whole civil rights and, people decided that the way black people used to eat, the greens and the macaroni and cheese, it said it was bad for you. But we had lots stronger bodies, and our bodies looked good and have held up over time. Some of these young people at 18, I don't want to see them when they turn 40.
Exactly. Exactly. And when you think about it, we made things from scratch.
Yes, I was about to say that. Yes, everything was scratch from the earth, real cheese, no chemicals. Now everything is
organic.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. Back then it was organic and it was cheap. Now organic costs more than, I'm going to say, the chemicalized food. And you're like, really? Like, to buy whole grain bread, almost $4, and it's not even a whole loaf.
Exactly. And basically, if it's saying it's whole grain, I don't eat bread like that anymore. But when you're talking about whole grain bread, now to the point, if it's not sprouted, you might as well not even necessarily eat it, because most of the germ is gone from the bread, and you need the germ in the bread, that wheat germ. And so we teach, you need to go more for that sprouted bread now versus, the whole grain.
Speaking of wheat germ, I remember eating, as a little girl, eating wheat germ over the top of cream of wheat.
Yep.
And we used to come in a jar, and we used to just sprinkle it over top of the cream of wheat.
And when I speak a lot, I talk about, the foods are so laden with something that's going to be a preservative in it. And I'm that food is designed for shelf life. So if it's designed to sit on that shelf, what do you think it's doing in your body? It's shelf life.
Oh,
so
my
you got
God.
shelf life. You got shelf life. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we don't think about these things. That's why these conversations on just minding my business are so important, because time and time again are the people who come on like yourself bring up things that we just don't think about, or that the listening audience, we're so busy being rushed. We all have our face in our phones or tablets that we don't take time out to really think things through. We're running from one thing to the next. Exactly. Our whole day, from the moment we wake up, we're running, and we don't stop until we go to bed. And now they're saying that because we do this, that even when we go to sleep, we're still running.
You are, because your mind's not slowing down.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yep. I mean, when you go to bed, you definitely need to cut the TV off. Maybe like an hour before you go to bed, you need to put that cell phone down, because that light is causing that melatonin in melatonin in your brain to keep going. You're not allowing, that's why God made night and day. You're not allowing your body to go through that transition of calming down and knowing and recognizing, hey, this hormone is telling me that it's time to go to bed. And it's just all of a sudden you're trying to just shut down and go to sleep. But that blue light is affecting you from even going to sleep.
Yep, it's keeping you wide awake.
Yep.
And yet the rest of the world is telling you, when you look outside, it's dark. We could talk so much about so many things, because that was a big issue for me at one time. And I know many people are night workers, and in some of these night working places, they use that artificial sunlight lamp, and it just wrecks your sleeping pattern.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of beauty, too, is that we're not getting enough sleep. Exactly. Most of us think, okay, it's the kids that, need to get the rest and get the sleep, but we need to get the sleep as we get older, because your body is designed to regenerate itself. Every 7 years, your body, you pretty much got a whole new body, because every day some cell in your body is turning over. It's regenerating. So we have the ability to control this, but beauty sleep is huge. It's huge, and it helps to regulate your hormones. Yes, and that's what people, again, those things that we don't talk about, most of us aren't even aware that we have hormones that we need to, in a way, to foster, make sure we're taking care of our body so that our hormones are working right.
Exactly.
It never comes to mind. It's just like, this is my body. I run it through its paces. I put it to bed. I get it up, wash, dress, go out the door. We have so little appreciation. And I'm so glad that you mentioned God in this, for what he gave us.
Yeah, exactly.
We are wonderfully made. We are amazingly made. And
you're made in his image. We're made in his image. So when you talk about, people being confident, self-esteem, mindset, it's like there's nobody on this earth that's ugly, because you are made, and you're specifically made for a purpose that God designed you for. You're purposed for him so that somebody can see him through you.
Absolutely. Oh, my goodness, Avanette, you have been a blessing to us as well as our audience. We definitely appreciate this conversation, and, of course, you are coming back.
Oh, thank you.
And before we wrap up, can you tell our audience how to connect with you again?
You can connect with me at Essential Essence Lifestyle, EssentialEssenceLifestyle.com. You can also connect with me at on Instagram at Avanette Pinkard. That's AVANETTE Pinkard, PINKARD. And also I'll give you my phone number, which is, and I don't call it all the time myself, 443-906-0161. I had to write it down to think about it.
Well, thank you so much, Avanette. This has been an awesome conversation, and just like Ruth stated before, it's people like you that come on this show and remind us of the things that we need to be thinking about and the things that we need to be doing in order to be really healthy and, mind, body, and spirit.
Right,
so thank you for that.
Thank you so much. This has been a pleasure talking with you both.
Yes, thank you, Avanette.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This show is brought to you by the amazing women of a Sister Circle Empowerment Network, ASCEN LLC, where we are never in competition, but always in collaboration, and our valued sponsors. Learn more about our sponsors and their services and membership in a Sister Circle, ASCEN LLC, at www.assistercircle.org. To learn about becoming a sponsor for Just Minding My Business Radio and how our marketing package benefits your company, please visit our website at www.assistercircle.org. Voiceovers by RCH VoiceWorks. Contact slvoiceworks8201 at yahoo.com or call 443-620-4115.
Thank you for tuning in to Just Minding My Business Radio. I'm your host, Ida Crawford. We hope you enjoyed the show and appreciate you stopping by. Many blessings to you and yours.